Settled in their places within Westminster Abbey, the Wales family became part of the historic tapestry unfolding around them. The ancient ceremony was about to begin in earnest, with William and Catherine serving as bridges between the monarchies, present and future, while their children represented hope for generations to come. Catherine arranged the children's positions to ensure they could see clearly, while remaining comfortable throughout the lengthy ceremony. She had brought small items to help Louis maintain his attention, discreetly placed within reach should the young prince need gentle distraction during the more formal portions of the service. The abbey filled with the sounds of preparation as various officials took their ceremonial positions. Clergy members moved with practiced precision, their colorful vestments creating a visual reminder of the religious significance underlying the constitutional ceremony. The children watched with fascination as centuries-old traditions played out before them. George sat with remarkable attention for someone his age, clearly understanding that he was witnessing history in the making. His education had included lessons about previous coronations and the significance of the ceremony he was now experiencing firsthand. The weight of his future responsibilities seemed to settle comfortably on his young shoulders. Charlotte maintained perfect posture, while taking in every detail around her. Her natural curiosity was balanced by her understanding of appropriate behavior during formal occasions. She occasionally whispered very quietly to her mother, asking questions about what they were witnessing. Louis remained more animated than his siblings, his youthful energy creating occasional moments that reminded everyone of his age. Catherine handled these instances with practiced maternal skill, redirecting his attention toward interesting aspects of the ceremony while maintaining the dignity expected during such a solemn occasion. William felt deeply moved by sharing this moment with his family, knowing that his children were experiencing something that would shape their understanding of royal duty and service for years to come. The ceremony represented not just his father's crowning achievement, but also a passing of responsibility toward future generations. The international significance of the occasion was evident in the diverse congregation surrounding them. Representatives from Commonwealth nations, European royalty, and world leaders had gathered to witness this transfer of ceremonial authority, making the children part of a truly global historic moment. As the ceremony progressed, the family demonstrated the quiet dignity that had become their trademark during public appearances. They participated appropriately in hymns and responses while maintaining the respectful attention that such a sacred occasion demanded from all present. The acoustics of Westminster Abbey transformed every element of the service, from spoken words to musical accompaniment, creating an atmosphere of reverence that even Louis seemed to appreciate. The children were witnessing the full pageantry of British ceremonial tradition at its most elaborate and meaningful. Catherine found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought their family to this moment. From her own wedding, in this same space, to watching her children participate in their grandfather's coronation. The continuity of tradition combined with the evolution of the monarchy created a powerful sense of both history and hope. As the ceremony reached its climax, the Wales family stood with the rest of the congregation, their presence representing the institutional continuity that makes such ancient ceremonies relevant to contemporary Britain. The children had successfully participated in one of the most significant royal events of their young lives. The experience would become a treasured family memory, but also a foundational moment in the children's understanding of their roles within the British monarchy. They had witnessed democracy and tradition working together, seen the peaceful transfer of ceremonial authority, and participated in a celebration of national unity that transcended political differences. As the final musical notes faded and the ceremony concluded, the Wales family prepared for their departure, knowing they had been part of something that would be remembered and studied for generations to come. Their graceful entrance and dignified participation had added warmth and hope to an ancient ceremony, showing that the monarchy's future remained in capable and caring hands. As they approached the abbey's threshold, the magnificent Gothic architecture seemed to embrace the royal family with centuries of history. The ancient stones had witnessed countless coronations, royal weddings, and state occasions, and now they would frame another pivotal moment in British royal history. William paused briefly, allowing his family to gather themselves before entering the sacred space. The transition from outdoor daylight to the Abbey's interior created a moment of adjustment for the children. Charlotte blinked as her eyes adapted to the different lighting, while Louis looked up in amazement at the soaring vaulted ceilings that stretched high above them. The acoustics of the space transformed every sound, making even whispered conversations seem to echo with importance. Inside, hundreds of distinguished guests had risen from their seats in acknowledgement of the Wales family's arrival. The congregation included heads of state, members of the aristocracy, representatives from Commonwealth nations, and other dignitaries who had traveled from around the world to witness the coronation ceremony. Catherine guided the children with subtle touches and gentle smiles, helping them navigate the formal procession while maintaining the grace expected during such a significant occasion. She had walked down this same aisle for her own wedding years earlier, but today carried different responsibilities as she helped represent the monarchy's future generation. The Abbey's choir began their entrance music, their voices filling the ancient space with harmonies that had been practiced for weeks in preparation for this moment. The musical accompaniment helped establish the processional pace, allowing the family to move with appropriate dignity while acknowledging the assembled guests. George walked with increasing confidence as they progressed down the aisle, his earlier nervousness giving way to a sense of purpose. He had been taught about the significance of Westminster Abbey in royal history, and being part of that continuing story seemed to strengthen his resolve and posture. Seated guests turned discreetly to watch the family's passage, many recognizing the historic nature of seeing 3 generations of future monarchs together in this setting. The children represented continuity and hope for the institution's future, their presence adding emotional resonance to the formal ceremony. Louis maintained his grip on his parents' hands but was clearly fascinated by the pageantry surrounding him. The colorful vestments of the clergy, the military uniforms of various officials, and the formal attire of international dignitaries created a visual feast that held his attention, despite the solemnity of the occasion. Catherine's training in royal protocol served her well as she balanced maternal instincts with ceremonial requirements. She smiled graciously toward familiar faces in the congregation, while keeping careful watch over her children's needs and behavior throughout the processional. The family's designated seating area came into view, specially arranged to provide clear sightlines for both the children and the cameras that would broadcast the ceremony worldwide. Palace staff had considered every detail, from seat heights that would allow the children to see clearly to positioning that would create the most dignified family portrait. William felt the weight of representing not just his immediate family, but the institution they would one day lead together. His father's coronation marked a transition point, and the presence of his own family symbolized the monarchy's continuation into future generations. As they neared their seats, the children demonstrated the results of their careful preparation. Charlotte executed a perfect curtsy toward the altar, while George bowed with appropriate solemnity. Even Louis managed a creditable bow, his small gesture drawing gentle smiles from nearby observers who appreciated his earnest effort. The processional music reached its crescendo as the Wales family took their designated places, their entrance complete but their participation in this historic ceremony just beginning. They had successfully navigated the public portions of their arrival, and now they would witness the coronation itself as representatives of the monarchy's bright future. The car door opened with ceremonial precision, and William stepped out first onto the red carpet that stretched toward Westminster Abbey's ancient entrance. The crowd's cheers intensified as he emerged, his formal attire impeccable despite the journey across London. He immediately turned to assist his family, extending his hand toward the car with practiced grace. Catherine appeared next, her elegant outfit catching the morning light as she stepped gracefully onto the carpet. She had chosen her attire carefully, balancing respect for tradition with contemporary style, knowing that her appearance would be scrutinized and remembered for years to come. Her smile was warm but composed, acknowledging the crowd while maintaining the dignity befitting the occasion. George emerged from the car with remarkable composure for someone his age, his posture straight and his expression serious as he took in the magnitude of the moment. He had been preparing for this public appearance for months, understanding that his behavior would reflect not just on himself, but on his family's future role in the monarchy. Charlotte followed her older brother, her careful steps showing the results of countless practice sessions in the palace corridors. She had mastered the art of walking slowly enough for photographers while maintaining perfect posture, her natural grace enhanced by months of gentle coaching from palace staff. Louis required more assistance from his parents, his small hand gripping William's as he adjusted to the sudden burst of sound and activity around them. His eyes were wide with wonder at the spectacle, taking in the colorful uniforms, the massive crowds, and the imposing architecture of the Abbey towering above them. The family formed a natural group on the red carpet with William and Catherine, flanking their children in a protective yet open formation. Palace staff had rehearsed this positioning repeatedly, ensuring that every family member would be clearly visible to both live spectators and television cameras broadcasting worldwide. Abbey officials approached them with measured steps, their ceremonial vestments flowing in the gentle breeze. The Dean of Westminster stepped forward to offer formal greetings, his words lost in the crowd noise but his respectful bow clearly visible to all observers. These ancient courtesies had been performed for centuries during royal occasions. Catherine kept one eye on Louis, ready to provide gentle guidance if his attention wandered from the formal proceedings. The young prince was doing remarkably well, though she could see his natural curiosity fighting against the need to remain still and dignified during the choreographed entrance. Photography flashes created a steady shimmer of light around them, capturing images that would appear in newspapers and digital media around the world within hours. William and Catherine maintained their gracious acknowledgement of the crowd, while slowly progressing toward the Abbey's entrance, their pace calculated to allow clear photography without appearing to pose. The children walked between their parents, creating a picture of family unity that embodied the monarchy's future. George occasionally glanced up at his father for reassurance, while Charlotte maintained her composure with impressive maturity. Louis swung slightly between his parents' hands, his youthful energy contained but not entirely suppressed. Security personnel moved discreetly around them, their presence nearly invisible despite providing comprehensive protection for the royal family. Years of training and planning had gone into ensuring that this public appearance would proceed smoothly while maintaining the informal warmth that had become the Wales family's trademark. The massive doors of Westminster Abbey stood open. Before them, revealing glimpses of the ornate interior where hundreds of distinguished guests awaited their arrival. The transition from the outdoor public spectacle to the more intimate ceremony inside would mark another phase in this historic day. Abbey musicians could be heard preparing for the family's formal entrance, their instruments creating an anticipatory atmosphere that would soon burst into full ceremonial music. The children had heard recordings of what to expect, but the live acoustics of the ancient building would create an entirely different and more powerful experience. Westminster Abbey loomed magnificently before them as their convoy approached the final stretch of their journey. The ancient stones seemed to glow in the morning light, and the sound of church bells could be heard even through their car windows. Thousands of invited guests had already taken their places inside, while millions more watched from around the world. Catherine felt her heart beating faster as they drew closer to their destination. She had attended many significant events at the Abbey, but this coronation held special meaning for their family. She squeezed William's hand briefly, a private moment of connection before they would step into the public eye. The children had grown quieter as the magnitude of the occasion became more apparent. George straightened his shoulders, clearly remembering all the instructions he had received about proper posture and behavior. Charlotte checked her appearance one more time, smoothing her dress and adjusting her hair with the careful attention that had become her trademark. Louis was becoming fidgety, his young energy struggling against the formal constraints of the day. Catherine distracted him by pointing out the colorful ceremonial uniforms of the guards they were passing, turning his restlessness into curiosity about the pageantry surrounding them. The car began its final approach to the Abbey's west door, where red carpet had been laid out in preparation for their arrival. William could see the assembled dignitaries and officials who would greet them, including senior members of the Abbey clergy who had been involved in months of careful planning for this moment. Security teams made their final preparations as the royal car came to a gentle stop at precisely the designated location. The timing had been rehearsed repeatedly to ensure seamless coordination between the family's arrival and the ceremony's strict schedule. Catherine took a deep breath, preparing herself for the transition from private family moment to public, royal duty. Through the car windows, they could see photographers positioned at respectful distances, their long lenses ready to capture every detail of the family's emergence. William reminded the children one final time about walking slowly and staying close together, emphasizing the importance of presenting a united family image. The car doors remained closed for several more seconds as final security checks were completed. Catherine used this time to make minor adjustments to Louis's outfit and to offer Charlotte an encouraging smile. The little princess had been practicing her public appearances for months, and her confidence showed in her composed expression. Abbey officials approached the car with measured steps, their ceremonial robes flowing gracefully as they prepared to formally receive the Wales family. The ancient protocols for such occasions had been carefully maintained, ensuring that every aspect of their arrival would honor both tradition and the significance of the day. William felt the familiar weight of public responsibility settling on his shoulders, but also the comfort of having his family beside him. Catherine's calm presence had always been his anchor during important public events, and today was no exception. Together, they would guide their children through this historic moment. The sound of the crowd outside grew more intense as people realized the royal family was about to emerge. Abbey bells continued their celebratory pealing, creating a soundtrack of joy and solemnity that would accompany their entrance. The moment everyone had been waiting for was finally at hand. Security personnel took their final positions around the car, creating a protective but unobtrusive presence that would allow the family to move gracefully while ensuring their safety. The choreography of their exit had been practiced repeatedly, with every step planned to create the most dignified and memorable entrance possible. The royal convoy formed outside Kensington Palace with military precision. William and Catherine exchanged a meaningful glance as they prepared to step into the waiting vehicle with their children. The protection officers had already taken their positions, and motorcycle escorts were ready to lead the procession through London's historic streets. George climbed into the car first, followed by Charlotte, who carefully arranged her dress to avoid wrinkles. Louis needed a gentle boost from his mother, his small hands gripping the doorframe as he settled into his seat. Catherine slid in gracefully beside her youngest son, while William took his place next to George, creating a protective presence around their family. The car doors closed with a soft thud, and suddenly the outside noise became muffled. Inside the climate-controlled cabin, the family could hear their own breathing and the quiet hum of the engine. William reached across to straighten Louis's outfit one final time, while Catherine smoothed Charlotte's hair with maternal care as the convoy began to move. Crowds along the palace gates erupted in cheers. The children pressed their faces to the windows, waving tentatively at the sea of people who had gathered to see them. Catherine pointed out familiar landmarks to Louis, helping him understand the significance of their route to Westminster Abbey. Procession moved at a stately pace through Hyde Park Corner, where thousands of spectators had claimed viewing positions hours earlier. British flags fluttered from windows and balconies, creating a patriotic corridor along their path. William and Catherine continued waving to well-wishers, teaching their children through example how to acknowledge the public's enthusiasm. George sat quietly observing everything with serious attention. He had been briefed extensively about his role in the day's events and seemed determined to meet every expectation. Charlotte occasionally whispered questions to her mother, who answered in soft tones while maintaining her gracious smile toward the crowds outside. The convoy passed through Piccadilly, where international media crews had positioned themselves at strategic locations. Camera lenses followed their progress, capturing images that would soon be transmitted around the world. Catherine kept one hand on Louis's knee, ensuring he remained calm despite the overwhelming attention surrounding their car. Traffic had been completely cleared from their route, allowing the procession to maintain its dignified pace. Police officers saluted as they passed, and William acknowledged them with subtle nods of recognition. The family could see Westminster Abbey growing larger in the distance, its Gothic towers reaching toward the cloudy London sky. As they approached Parliament Square, the density of crowds increased dramatically. People had traveled from across the Commonwealth and beyond, many wearing elaborate hats and carrying small British flags. The children's eyes widened at the sheer number of people who had come to witness their grandfather's coronation. Catherine adjusted her position slightly to ensure the best view for photographers, while maintaining her family's comfort. She whispered gentle reminders to the children about waving and smiling, though their natural responses to the crowd's enthusiasm needed little coaching. The car slowed as they neared the Abbey's approach, where ceremonial guards stood at attention in their traditional uniforms. William felt the weight of history in this moment, knowing that generations of his family had traveled this same route for the most important occasions in British royal history. Security personnel conducted final communications as the convoy prepared for the most public portion of their journey. The family would soon step from the relative privacy of their car into the full spotlight of international attention, representing not just themselves, but the future of the British monarchy. The morning sun cast long shadows across London as the city awakened to one of the most significant days in British history. Inside Kensington Palace, the Wales family was already stirring with quiet anticipation. Prince William stood at his bedroom window, watching the early crowds gathering along the royal route. His wife Catherine moved gracefully through their private quarters, checking on each detail one final time. The children had been awake since dawn, their excitement barely contained despite months of preparation. Prince George, now old enough to understand the gravity of the occasion, sat quietly while his personal dresser helped him into his formal attire. His younger siblings, Princess Charlotte and Prince Louis, were more animated, their chatter filling the nursery as they were prepared for what would become one of their most memorable public appearances. Catherine paused at Charlotte's door, watching her daughter practice her curtsy one more time. The little princess had been rehearsing for weeks, determined to perform perfectly for her grandfather. Louis, meanwhile, was being gently reminded about the importance of staying quiet during the ceremony, though everyone knew the young prince's natural curiosity might prove challenging to contain. William joined his family in the main sitting room, where they gathered for a private moment before the day's official events began. The weight of the occasion was evident in his thoughtful expression, knowing that today would mark not just his father's coronation, but another step in their family's public journey together. Their protection officers conducted final security briefings while household staff made last-minute adjustments to schedules. The palace had been coordinating with Westminster Abbey for months, ensuring every detail of their arrival would proceed smoothly. Catherine reviewed the timeline once more, mentally preparing for the careful choreography that would soon unfold. The family's breakfast was served in their private dining room, though appetites were modest given the excitement and nerves of the day. William and Catherine spoke in gentle tones with the children, reassuring them about what to expect while maintaining the sense of occasion that made this day so special. Outside, the sounds of preparation grew louder as crowds continued to gather. Police barriers had been in place since before sunrise, and the famous route to Westminster Abbey was already lined with well-wishers, hoping to catch a glimpse of the royal family. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation, as people from around the world had traveled to witness this historic moment. As the departure time approached, the family made their way to the palace's formal entrance hall. Catherine took a final look in the mirror, adjusting her elegant outfit one last time. The children stood quietly, their earlier excitement now tempered by the solemnity of the moment they had been preparing for. William placed a reassuring hand on George's shoulder, offering him an encouraging smile. The young prince straightened his posture, clearly taking his role seriously. Charlotte smoothed her dress carefully, while Louis looked around with wide eyes, still processing the magnitude of what was about to happen. The sound of car engines indicated that their official transport had arrived. Palace staff moved with practiced efficiency, ensuring every detail was perfect for their departure. Catherine gathered the children close, offering final words of encouragement and reminding them of the importance of the day they were about to experience together as a family.